Hey guys, happy Wednesday. Valerie Hunt here with you from RunRx. And I have a great day planned, or a great little lesson planned for us today. So I tried to get feedback from you guys to figure out what am I going to talk about today. So I had two great questions and I'm going to answer both of them. So the first question was, my glutes are hurting when I'm running. My glutes and hamstring area are hurting while I'm running. Could I maybe, and she said, maybe I'm pushing, which is great because then she already knows maybe it's something that I'm doing action-wise in my running that's affecting my run. So that's really great to hear. And the second question I had was, so these are going to coincide together. So the first question was, I'm hurting, what am I doing wrong, am I pushing? And the second question was, I've been trying to, how do you say it? I've been pulling and pulling and pulling. However, I'm very tired and I feel like I'm just running in place. So I'm going to answer both of those questions today, and I have some fun announcements to make. So let me just say hi to everybody. And I hope that you know that when you post your questions, whether you email them in or you post them here, we look at them and then we want to answer them for you. So please ask questions. That's what we're here for. So the first thing I want to talk about is the pain. So a lot of people, when they go running and they come back and they're in pain, what's kind of the first thing you think of to do? Most people think stretching. It's just kind of, I'm going to stretch. So I want to talk about that first. So let's just show you, for funsies, the old-fashioned calf stretch. I think when I very first started running, we would do like this, then we would do this, and then we'd be like, ready to run. So really. So I just want to talk about the calf first. So when I'm going to stretch the calf, my thought is I'm going to stretch it. You see how I extended that back knee? And then I'm pressing my foot into the ground. So when I'm doing this, I'm like, whoo, doesn't that feel good? Right? Stretch the calf, let it relax. Well, think about that. Now my leg is straight and my calf is basically elongated, if you will. And I'm pressing into the ground. Okay, that's fine. So then if I go running, think about that. If I went running and I take my leg and I do that, what's happening to my poor calf? It's like I'm saying to my calf, stretch, just kidding. Stretch, just kidding. Meaning like you're trying to stretch and then contract and stretch and contract in your run. That's why pushing is so hard on our calf and on our hamstring and on our knee. Because if I simply try, so now I'm taking my body weight basically, right? And then I push, watch what happens. Push. See, my body had to do what? Something had to catch my body. While my calf is back here like, I can't seem to stretch and contract at the same time. You try to stretch and contract, the muscle, it gets very tired. So guess what happens then? You come off the ground and the leg actually goes back. And what brings that leg forward now? Well, guess what? My hip. So now I just did this. I put pressure on my calf, I stressed my hamstring and my knee, and then my hip had to take my leg forward. That is so much work. And it's using active muscle contractions, and it's working against gravity using body weight. So think about the opposite, which is called pulling. The reason that in running we have pulling is because it's the opposite of pushing. That's it. So pulling, the knee is bent, and when the foot pulls, it's unweighted. When my body weight goes forward, this foot is unweighted. There's no stress here. There's no stress here. You see? It's just hanging out, unweighted. So when I actually pull, the hamstring reflex is what actually finishes the pull. 2% of my body weight, 10% active muscle contraction. Isn't that amazing? And even better, I pull, and as I travel, what's going to happen to this foot? I pulled it, right? Let's pretend I only have one foot. So I pull the foot, and then what happens? Gravity brings it down. Can only be one action from you. As amazing as you are, it's like you cannot do a bicep curl and a tricep extension at the same time. The arm can only do one thing at a time. So remember that. So then when I'm running, if I pull up, I don't have to also do the down. This is where we get a little bit lost. So just for fun, keep your knees bent and just pull your foot and do nothing. Just hang out here. You have to realize, okay, my job is done, right? So now let's try it a little bit differently so you can have fun with that other feeling. Let's start with ourselves in the running pose, and then let yourself pull, do nothing else. Ready? Pull. You see? We've done this before, right? If I pull up and only focus on pulling this foot up, we'll let this one go. Ready? You see? This one always drops. If I pull, the other leg drops. Again, because I can only do one job. If you try to do two jobs, let's try to do two jobs. I want you to try to pull this foot up and put this one down at the same time. Ready, go. You see what happens? What wins? Gravity. Pulling up is resisting gravity, right? I'm doing action. Gravity is always working the same. It doesn't change because I changed my movement. So if I work on the way down at all, then guess what? Impact. Ouch, okay? So if we let go of that, where we're like, oh, I only have to go up, and I have to keep my knee bent. Why? To use elasticity. See, another thing, if my muscle is being stretched and extended, then there's no elasticity. So if you're having pain, especially in the glute, hamstring, calf, heel, soleus, plantar, any of that, it's because you are trying to, unfortunately, push and the leg goes back and then your hip brings it forward, okay? If your pain is somewhere in here in the front, hip, quad, IT, knee, shin, ankle, any part of this, you still could have pushed, but most likely you pushed and then you panicked and then you reached. So again, this goes back to this. This is the other runner stretch that we all love. Who's done this one? Like 1,000 times. Woo! You're like, woo, my hamstrings, right? So again, another stretch. So here we are now trying to stretch off the back leg, and then I'm like, whoa, watch this. Stretch in the front. Can you imagine? That's so much work and so much impact, because the second you're here, 3 times your body weight going all the way up, and again, my knees extended. Your body can't stay like that, so then it'll go like this. 1, 2. Then the knee will bend. So I call that a double landing. So you've done a 2-time impact force before the body weight's even on the ball of the foot, right? Try just standing on your heels. You can't balance here. And where's your shoulders? Way back here. So if I was trying to run forward on my heels, I can't, right? So once you start to realize, okay, my knees have to be bent, simply to use muscle elasticity and reduce impact. Very important. So my knees have to be bent. And there's only one movement. You see how much more fun this is, or easier? And it's pulling. My knees are bent. I need to pull my foot up. Here I am pulling. Now, this goes into my second question. Someone said, Valerie, I've been pulling. I promise, I'm pulling. Yet here I sit. I'm winded, I'm exerted, and I'm not traveling. Well, why? What's missing? What is acceleration in running? How do we actually travel? There's 2 things that have to happen. 1, I actually have to allow my body to free fall using gravity. So that's the nice part. Free falling is free. I don't have to go buy more outfits or shoes because gravity is our friend. So that's so important. And to remember that the pull is a response to the fall. And by the way, guys, just a real quick backtrack on me. I originally learned this through a book and a video on my own. Started in 1999. And in the early 2000s, I got to meet Dr. Romanoff, who wrote the book, And he was like, wow, you look just like the book. I mean, my pull was phenomenal. My pose looked great. I was going nowhere. I was you. I was like, am I doing it? Not any faster, but I'm pulling. I don't have shin splints anymore, but my hamstrings. So please, 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 the fall element, you have to develop the relationship with falling. But it's free falling, meaning you literally just need a wall and need to feel the sensation of falling. I have to practice when I'm not running, so that way when I am running, see, here I am pulling, and maybe I'd want to run faster. Well, maybe I should pump my arms. None of that's going to help me. It's unnecessary movement. It's just going to make me tired. So please get into the habit of, okay, here I am pulling. Now how do I travel? You have to fall to initiate forward movement. I have to fall and then my feet pull. Fall, pull. See? And where am I pulling to? Pulling to the pose. So I can fall, pull. It just stays the same. So when you're running, just remember, where's your fall point? And if you don't even have to use your eyes. Like, I'm looking at you, falling. Falling is something you allow from your center. Your center of mass is here. So this is where a little bit of strength training comes in. For you to just get more comfortable in using your own body weight to fall. Knees have to be bent, and then I promise you, you will travel. And then it becomes a game. Then I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna try falling to that stop sign. And off I go. You see what I mean? Then all of a sudden running is back to what running is. You know, running is free falling. Who's heard that before? Other than listening to me. Running is free falling. I've never heard that in my life. I was taught running was pushing and reaching. Honestly, I was taught that. When people would say, hey, you want to go for a run? Nobody would ever say, let's go free falling. It was always like, how many miles, or where are we running, or what are we wearing, or what's the weather, things like that. So all of a sudden now I'm changing my mindset. And by the way, the funnest part about this is that, one, it is a lot more fun. It's a lot more fun to go free falling than it is to go pounding the pavement, or as someone told me the other day, that they slog through their runs. Slog, what a word. I'm like, it just sounds no fun. So the best part is, how do I get started? That's what I'd like to know, right? If I was me, I'd like to know how to get started. Well, please don't go off by yourself like I did for years and think you got it. The best thing you could do is to come into the membership. That's number one. Let me see your run. It's a 3-month journey with me. You get gait analysis, you get video check-ins, we do interactive Zoom where I get to watch you and correct you live. You get to reach out as many times as you want with questions, check-ins, to make sure you're developing correct, not just movement, but understanding of your movement. And it's a blend of skill, strength, and self-care. So it's I'm not just giving you drills, I'm giving you strength exercises, I'm giving you the self-care, the stretching, all that stuff with it. But number one, it's getting that interaction with a coach to understand, yes, you're doing the movement correctly, or no, let's try this a little bit differently. But first, you need to see it. This is why we do the gait analysis. Once you see yourself and you see how you're moving, then we can work on making sure that movement is completely efficient to keep you pain-free. And if you're not ready for all that, that's okay. We've got 2 other great things. One is there's a free quiz on the website. And if you've got knee, hip, glute, whatever pain you have, it'll ask you. And then I give you a little skill, strength, and self-care tip to get started on that problem area, if you will. But as you guys realize now, front of the leg is going to be probably you're doing this. Back of the leg is I'm doing something like this. What do I need to do? Keep my knees bent and pull, right? So you're always going to get the right answer. Then it's on you to go practice. The other thing we have that's also free is a 30-day reboot on YouTube. And it literally is a 30-day, 1 practice a day, skill, strength, and self-care. to build your foundation, to get you back to feeling good about running, to get your body ready to run, you know, a lot of great things. And I have to say, I know there's a bunch of stuff out there, so thank you so much for even giving me a listen. I appreciate that. And I just want to say back to you that I promise you, I came into this the same way. 22 years ago, I started running, and I was, like everybody else, out there just kind of running. And I'm a trainer, and so I was like, this is crazy that I'm not understanding how to run pain-free. I was getting like hamstring things a lot, lots of shin splints. I had so many shin splints, stress fractures, plantar fasciitis, and everyone's like, yeah, it's just kind of part of it. Well, it wasn't good enough for me. And I certainly don't want to teach someone how to get plantar fasciitis. So I took it on myself to start looking into a way of learning how to run. And what I can tell you is that I'm still teaching that same exact method 22 years later. And it's still so amazing, because the reality is the simplicity of it. When we were little, we didn't have to ask how to run, we just ran. So it's kind of getting you back to that, to when you go running, it's fun again. It's fun again, it's natural, it's just movement. So I'd love to see you run. Otherwise, I'd love for you to at least take the time to either go through that 30-day reboot or take that quiz. So if you want to get to us, it's real simple. Just you can go to runrxonline.com, runrxquiz.com, and just come on and let's see it. Let's get you guys running pain-free. So I'm back, obviously, every Wednesday. So again, post questions, post comments, and let's get this conversation, continuing this conversation to go this. If my glutes are sore, am I pushing? Yes. So if my glutes are sore, there's probably a combination of pushing and over pulling. So just remember, what do the glutes do when we run? They hold us, right? Glutes are amazing. We want to have that strength in the glute. What is my glute necessary for while I'm running? Because remember, how much active muscle contraction are we using in our run? 10%. And what muscle is it? This guy, the hamstring. So if my glutes are sore, if I'm feeling extra soreness in areas that I'm like, this is random. So the glutes are very important. They're why we're able to hold our shoulders over our hips. So they help with this side. The hip flexors are helping with this side. So my hip needs to be stable to support my body weight. Here I am in my pose, right? There's no active muscle to hold this. And when I fall and I pull, it's a very quick movement. So yes, if you're feeling your glutes, if we were all gonna stand here and do a glutes class, like just stand here for a second, put your hand on your glute and go like this. There it is, you see? This is called activation. Now the glute is contracting because this is what it does when it goes this way, right? Keep your hand on your glute and go that way. There's no activation going that way, right? So if you're feeling the glute while you're running, most likely, yes, you're pushing or over pulling, meaning you might be bent a little bit here, you might be hinging, and then here. So now I've got a lot of work going on, right? And it's all happening behind me. So that's where generally that pain comes from. And some people feel it like in the insertion right there. That's definitely over pulling the leg behind you. So yes, these pains are all indicative of an error in the movement that can be corrected. That's what's so great. And it's the same correction for all of you. Because whether you're reaching, pushing, whatever, who cares? If I do the right movement, all of that goes away. So see, that's the beautiful part. And yes, you still have to do the stretching and the self-care. It's also important. However, what happens is once I start to correct the movement itself, then those pains also go away, right? Because I can go stretch and roll and stretch and roll and stretch and roll, stretch and roll my glute, stretch and roll my glute. And then I go running again, and my glute's like, well, you'll be stretching and rolling later, right? Same with me and my shin splints. Everyone's like, just ice them. Just ice your shin splints. It's 20-something years ago. So okay, I ice them, then I go back out running. I can't even hit. And then I have to go ice them again. So don't let that be part of your regular running life. You really do not have to be in pain. The only pain I want you in when you're running is breath pain. Like the suffering and running. Did anybody watch the marathon project this weekend? It was really fun to see these lots of great runners out there, right? And you could see the struggle is with like holding their fall. I mean, this was like, if you watch the runners, as they're the elites especially, the struggle is literally keeping up with that level, that high angle of fall. It's hard to, you can't see it. They're only feeling it, right? It's hard to explain that. But when they say things like, I was hanging on, right? Now, do elites get injured also? Absolutely. We're all out there and we're all making movement errors that we could work on and correct. The main thing is pull back when you feel the pain and work on correcting the movement. And you should be able to get back out there so much sooner, especially once you recognize what is going on, right? So again, I would love to see you run because that's the best way to help you. But definitely go through the RunnerX quiz. Go through that 30-day reboot. On both of those, you're going to get great tips on just practicing the correct movement so that every time you run, it's an opportunity for you to develop a better relationship with running. So I hope you guys have a Merry Christmas. If you celebrate, have a happy holiday. I will be back next week, of course, so please keep the questions coming, comment questions, and then let me know if it actually helped at all. Have a great day, guys. Thank you.